Please don't be like Vi, moving the mic around. I can't hear you. You okay? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic 1 2. Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is the G Podcast. It is episode 139. Yes. Grab those nuts. Speaking, I stole that, by the way. His birthday's today. Our voice, the voice of the podcast. Y'all give it up for Vince, the voice, Bailey. Another year around the sun. Give it up for Vince. I'm going to give Vince some of the love. And of course, I got to give him the air horn. Without a doubt. And Vince, man, Vince does a major job, just a phenomenal job for us. I heard a podcast he was on maybe a few weeks ago, and he's doing stuff for the NAACP. He does stuff for the SCLC. He's so plugged into the community, man. I mean, Vince is the man. So again, y'all check out his stuff. He is the host, co-host, along with, Makiba Reed Johnson. They host the Black Mental Matters podcast on castropolis.net. So definitely check them out. And shout out to everyone who's going back to school, getting ready for back to school, man. I am in that number.
They could be holding up my traffic now. I have to leave earlier and find a different route.
It is coming, ATL, especially in the ATL. It's vicious. It's vicious.
On a one-lane road.
Yeah, so 58-year-old me and the middle schooler. Pray. the girl middle schooler. Pray, y'all, pray. Yes, it is here, back to school. So all y'all parents, and I posted last week, and I think I'll post it again this week, the article, the link to PBS that talks about, preparing for back to school. If you ain't prepared now, God bless you. Good luck. Do your thing. I'm Tommy B. I'm your host, and we got a whole lot to talk about this week. I'm not, last week we definitely had I guess remembering the greats. We had a great time going down memory lane, listening to the music of Michael Henderson, and just as you think things are kind of settling down with the transitions, as we tape today on Sunday, Nichelle Nichols. I always screw up Uhura's name. Uhuru. Lieutenant.
Yes.
Passed away of Star Trek fame, the original, at 89. Of course, the name Bill Russell. Definitely Tanya B. and Shan, as well. I'm going to introduce you in a minute, Shan. but Tanya B knows Bill Russell because of the Boston link. The Boston, but your
Yeah.
dad knew Bill
That was one of
Russell.
my father's running buddies back in the day, y'all, back in Boston. Yes.
Yeah, so Bill Russell, rest in power, and I call Bill the GOAT because he truly, if you're talking about somebody who won 5 MVP titles, I'm sorry, 5 MVP trophies,
Trophy.
11 titles in 13 years. No one has accomplished that yet in the NBA. So, in my opinion, he will always go down as the GOAT. And you know what? I would ask people out of respect, and maybe going forward from this point with Bill Russell, stop the LeBron and Michael Jordan
All the
comparisons.
stop any comparisons. It was a
Just
different
stop it.
time, and put it like this: if you
You
think
know?
about it, LeBron
Yeah.
James and Michael Jordan, and like there are some clips on social media, like with him and Dwight Howard. Those guys have it as a cakewalk. Bill Russell was
Oh,
playing back in the racist, raw,
that's what I'm
rickety,
saying.
raw '60s. So if
Yeah.
anything,
Yep.
give him his flowers, and
A
there
beer
really is no
bottle,
comparison.
a beer bottle could have just came flying out of nowhere at any minute in any city he was in. You know what I'm saying? The kind of stuff that he was dealing with.
But you know
Go
what? He
ahead.
was so cool. If they threw a beer bottle, Russell would
Yeah.
have caught it. But anyway, yeah.
And
So
threw it
he
back.
paid. He paved the way so that we have the Dwight Howards and the
Yeah.
LeBrons
Yeah.
and all the rest of these people that have come behind him. And I'm glad that he was able to participate in that tribute they did at the was it the All Star game, or maybe it was a championship when they had all the players come out like from the last 50,
Oh yeah,
60
that
years.
was the
Yeah.
NBA at 75. The NBA
Okay,
at
yeah.
75.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
he
was
was
it was very
actually
cool.
able, to
Yeah.
participate in, and again, and I'm glad he got to get at least one bouquet of his flowers.
And it's interesting because I was talking, having my little kitchen table talk about these folks, and you think about Uhura, Nichelle Nichols doing all the she I mean, I think she had gotten to the point where it was really she wasn't as visible as she had been. But think of all the Star Trek conventions she's done, even going, she died at 89, probably into her 80s. She's been,
She
and
did
that
one
was,
in 2021 actually. They
yep,
said, her health wasn't the best, but she was in. If you think about it, she
yeah,
was really forever branded. So that role was a blessing and a curse. Yes, she broke barriers. Yes, the first interracial kiss with William Shatner. But if
hmm
you think about it, you'd have to think for a few minutes. What did she do after that? It's like and I give her credit because she was able to take that one gig and
yeah,
live off
yeah,
of it for the rest of her life as well.
yeah. So definitely
Much respect, yeah.
rest in power, Bill Russell. And also, this is, of course, Tanya B, the Birdwire. Y'all give it up. Tanya B, definitely Birdwire, 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, noon on Saturday as well. And Tanya B, so what's going on? I mean, we talked about, of course, Bill Russell in Boston. What you got going on with the Birdwire, first and
Well,
foremost?
this week I did do what I thought was a decent, and I did a lot of it based on listeners' requests and favorite songs of Michael Henderson. I have some updates on his passing in the tea later on,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it seemed like a lot of people like that, and I would like to believe I got to most people's favorite songs. And one thing that people forgot about Michael Henderson was he did a lot of cover songs.
Yes, he
Even
did.
Be My Girl was a cover.
Hmm.
He covered Just Ask the Lonely by the Four Tops. He covered Tonight I Give In to the Feeling by Angela Bofill. And he even
Hmm.
covered Dionne Warwick's Reach Out for Me. So almost every album that he put out had a cover song on it.
Nice,
So,
nice,
but I'm
nice.
telling you
You
right
want me
now,
to you want me to sing the intro of "Be My Girl" again
no,
for the
please,
audience?
please, no, no, we don't pay for that. But I will tell you this: next week on the Birdwire, and I've
Yeah,
decided that I want to give people their flowers while they're here. And
yeah.
something just came up in me, and I was listening to music, and I decided that we are going to do the Jesse Johnson Jam next week.
Wow.
So when
You gonna do
I'm
what? Does he have any new music coming
he
out?
does have new
Anything?
music out, but I got some wig splitters and some information about him that people don't remember, don't know about, and probably just don't even equate him with some of the songs that he's responsible for and some of the A-list artists that he was producing. And he wasn't just falling back,
My
playing,
jam.
in a cornfield. Jesse
Yeah.
Johnson was a very busy writer and a very busy producer, and he did a lot with movie
Yes.
soundtracks. So I just want to
Hmm.
just I'm gonna give you a heads up now. Turn up the fan, put down your red solo cup, roll back the carpet, cause baby, the Jesse Johnson Jam is coming to the Birdwire on Friday.
Yes. I can't wait because I gotta hear "Can You Help Me."
Uh,
That
how
was a
can I
jam.
not play that? I mean, just oh
What
my
was the What
goodness.
was the song? It was just like a drum. I forgot. It was like an anthem
Free
type.
Free World.
Free
You know
World.
one thing about, and I'm giving
Yeah.
some stuff away, but let me tell you, Free World was not even on his first album, his second or his third album. It was one of those. That's when they were, I
B
guess,
sides,
leaking.
right?
Leaking, yeah,
Was it?
it was the B side of a 45, and it became a 12-inch, and that record never charted, but that was a banger.
That was a club
Was
banger.
that a banger?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, wait, that's when I was up in the club with my fake ID, for real, for real,
For real.
for real, for
And
real.
y'all, yeah. We know. We know. We know. I told. See, some of the people, you have an opportunity when you listen to the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, you have an opportunity to hear us. You can stream us on castropolis.net, but also we do the video on YouTube, and we have a link that actually brings you into Riverside, and you can check us out. But I was telling Tanya B has her Boston sixth grade. What do you call them? What do you call them, Tanya B? When she got a hairstyle.
I know you ain't talking about
It's
my Afro puffs.
no, it's
I
the Afro
know.
puffs.
I'm rough and stuff.
But
Let
hey,
me tell you, in Boston, you had to have a lot of hair in the wintertime to keep your head warm because it was so doggone cold.
that's what I'm talking about. But give it up for Tanya B and the Afro puffs in the building.
No,
Y'all give it up.
I'm messing with you today. Don't play a
Uh,
player. Go ahead.
I know. Country commentators out this week, but he did send us, as always, he sent us his benediction, and it is. I mean, I'm telling you, it is a timely benediction. I'm looking forward to it at the end of the show. K Dub is in the lab doing his thing, more music, and we have a very special guest. And she's been on. Shan, you've been on. What were you on? Were you on the G podcast, or were you on? What the other podcast I was doing? Which one were
I
you
think it
on
was
before?
this one a long time ago. Just
Yeah.
voice.
When we first started, I think you were you on with Vince the Voice or hanging out
No, it was just
Okay,
you.
yeah, it was
You were
just it
solo.
was just Shan hanging out, but I gotta give it up to the one and only Shan Norman. Shan is in the building. Give it up, Shan. Don't be nervous. Just come on in. Grab your red solo cup and pull up to
Yeah,
the
this
table.
cup.
Like, I can't say pull up to the table because
Stir it up, girl. Stir it up. Stir it
but
up.
but guest panelist Shan Norman, founder of Shan Norman Media, a social activism new media company. You can go to her website. One of the websites is ourmillennialvoices.com, blackadoptees.com. She's a black adoptee. She's host of the State of the Ward podcast, which is an adoptees perspective podcast. It's relaunching real soon within the month of August, right? August.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
And also she's launching Justice for Our Veterans podcast, which is an awesome effort, especially now. And I'm going to play a clip in just a minute, and I want to get your thoughts on it before we head into news. And all of her stuff is on castropolis.net. And I got to give it up to Shan because she's one of our biggest supporters, biggest supporter of the network. I'm going to give it up to Shan.
Thanks.
And she has supported the network since day one. And definitely, one of our biggest contributors and supporters. Good to see her branching out, doing her thing in a different role. And this is a new phase of her journey. So I'm excited, and I know Tanya B, you're excited as well. Look forward to hearing more from you as well, Shan. Hey, Shan, but I want to play something for you before we get into news. And y'all know Jon Stewart. He has the show now on Apple, but I guess he was it ABC? No, he was on Comedy Central for
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
He initially, was it the Daily Show that he was doing
I think he
initially?
did it for a minute on network TV, but they weren't ready for him.
Yeah,
But I
they
always
weren't.
liked him, and I love his
Yeah,
outspoken activism on behalf of the disenfranchised or the unforgotten, especially the veterans and
yeah.
first responders.
He has been, you talk about the responders and 9/11, the way he spoke out about, the first responders dealing with respiratory issues post 9/11 and how he fought really to get them the exposure and the benefits they needed. And he's doing the same thing for vets. And I want to play this clip, and both of you can jump in on it, but Shan definitely, because Shan is also a veteran. And she served. And just want to play this, Shannon, get your thoughts. Here we go.
So ain't this a bitch? Yeah. Ain't this a bitch? America's heroes who fought in our wars, outside sweating their asses off, with oxygen, battling all kinds of ailments, while these motherfuckers sit in the air conditioning, walled off from any of it. They don't have to hear it. They don't have to see it. They don't have to understand that these are human beings. Do you get it yet? Do we see that these aren't heroes? These are men and women, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, that we just let stand outside in the heat when they can't breathe. I'm going to read you something. This is beautiful. I'm going to read you something beautiful. You know what? I said a curse word, and I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Let me say something beautiful. This is a tweet from Senator Rick Scott of Florida from yesterday. It's beautiful. And I'm sorry about the cursing, and let me say something beautiful to make it up to you. I was honored to join the USO today and make care packages for our brave military members in gratitude of their sacrifice and service to our nation. And there's a beautiful picture. I wish you could see it. He's standing with a little package. Did you get the package? I think it has M&Ms in it and some cookies and some moist towelettes. I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I've been coming down here 10, 15 years. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Christina Keene will tell you from VFW. She sat in an office with Mitch McConnell and a war veteran from Kentucky, and he looked that man in the eyes and he said, "We'll get it done." And he lied to him because Mitch McConnell yesterday flipped. I'm used to the lies. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Senator Pat Toomey won't take a meeting with the veterans groups. Sends out his chief of staff. I'm used to the cowardice. I've been here a long time. Senate's where accountability goes to die. These people don't care. They're never losing their jobs. They're never losing their health care. Pat Toomey didn't lose his job. He's walking away. God knows what kind of pot of gold he's stepping into.
Yeah.
To lobby this government to shit on more people.
Yeah, that's Jon Stewart, and that's his response to Congress basically not approving the PACT Act, which would specifically deal with vets who were dealing with burn pits. And he did his show on Apple. He did an hour where he talked to different vets, and he actually showed the different the burning of these burn pits, in Iraq, Afghanistan, where a lot of our vets serve. So Shan, what are your thoughts when you hear that? What are your thoughts? What comes to mind for you? Because you've been, you spent time in the military.
So for someone that, yes, I did spend 3 years in the military. However, I continued my service for 12 years at the Department of Veteran Affairs, making decisions in the benefits part on veterans' claims. And this specifically was one that I did see numerous cases of, especially because a lot of this has come into light. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the administration, VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration, is the one that makes a lot of these calls and makes a lot of the decisions from what the laws say. So what's going to happen now is whatever the lawmakers say, it comes down, and that's how we get policies to change. However, if the lawmakers don't specifically address those things, then the policy will negatively, or has the potential to negatively, affect veterans, and then it affects the health care because now they can't get certain things. So it's just a domino trickle effect.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you, it comes back up for a vote, supposedly, again, we tape on Sunday, so Wednesday of this week, Schumer has indicated that they're bringing it back up in the Senate. And Toomey, and this is a trip, because you can tell Toomey's an asshole. He's leaving, he's getting out of politics. And I agree that most of these guys who get out of politics go into lobbying. And it's just like, how can you go from, be serving the people to becoming, a lobbyist in one fell swoop? But my point about Toomey, he was on this morning basically defending himself, and saying, well, how they bring he wanted to say a half-ass celebrity like John. I mean, immediately saying, well, this is what they do. They just bring out a half-baked celebrity and liberal group like it was just to sit there and watch him. You just want to, after I watched the press conference, and you see a lot of these vets who are like still on oxygen. I mean, they've got tubes in their nose, and they're out there because y'all know it's a heat wave. So it's like 90 degrees, minimum in DC. And it's just amazing that this guy was on making his rounds on the Sunday shows, Toomey, defending himself. So, kudos to you, Shannon, for the service and the time that you spent. I can imagine the stories and some of the things you had to push for, in your role. And I'm looking forward to your podcast. And what's the name of the podcast that's going to actually be impacting veterans that you're going to be working on? What's the name of it?
So it's called Justice for Our Veterans.
Okay, excellent. Looking forward to it. Tanya B., you were about to say something. Go ahead.
No, I just, I understand what she's saying. My father and my grandfather were both veterans. And later on in life, my dad relocated to Seattle, where the quality of life and the way the treatment that veterans received was like amazing. And I think it really did prolong his life, unlike being back here on the East Coast. Thank God he wasn't in Georgia, but he actually became a volunteer. And he just said sometimes he would just be close to tears. And my father was not a crying man. Let me just make that very clear. When this was like the early 2000s, I forgot there was was that Afghanistan? Because these guys are coming back here, and he's like, they're getting nothing.
Because you had Iraq and Afghanistan going on.
He said these young guys are coming back here, they're being treated like garbage and not getting the benefits, the services, the support. And one of the things he did, before the Alzheimer's kicked in, was that he would just go down to the veterans, the VA, and talk to these guys and try to share information with them and their families. That was, he wasn't an employee, but just to let them know what services they were entitled to, because a lot of people don't know. And if you're waiting for the VA to tell you, you might as well just like hang your behind out the school bus window and just wait for it, because it's a shame it doesn't happen. And like I said, he in Seattle, they had it more together. Like I used to live next to Walter Reed before they moved it over to Bethesda. And even when they would send the guys back there, that place should have been condemned a long time ago. They moved it. Now they sold it. Now I think it's becoming condos. But anyway, just those types of things. So I don't care if somebody is in the reserves, if they went out and did the weekend, the training that they do over the weekends in the summer. I just really say thank you for your service and your sacrifice, and more so I also say to you and your family, because when you leave, even Shan, when you went out, if you did anything, you were active, if you were in the reserves. Just like a law enforcement, when you walk out that door, there's no guarantee you're going to come back. And when you don't come back, it affects your family for the rest of their lives. And even some of the families of veterans don't know, what they're entitled to for what they have sacrificed. So, sis, I salute you and I thank you.
Absolutely. God give you the air horn. Blow your eardrum out there. Go ahead. Go ahead, Shan. You were about to say something else, Shan? All right.
No, I was going to say I appreciate that, because that's my motivation, is that, you spend all this time. I went from the military, 12 years of federal service, and I have to work an additional 22 years before I can even retire. And to me, my attitude, I'm 35. It's time to walk away now. Let me take my knowledge. Thank you. I'll do my little disability retirement. We'll just ride it out. And then I'll help people in a better capacity, because I'm able to do that and disseminate the correct information and provide resources. So
excellent. Good stuff. Shan, looking forward to you. Definitely all that's going on. Hang out with us. You gonna hang out with us? I know you are.
Absolutely.
All right, so here we go. Let's do news with Syracuse Mike. We'll come back on the other side. We've got a lot to talk about. Here we go.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
In Fulton County, a judge has ruled that the county's DA, Fonnie Willis, cannot continue investigating Burt Jones, who is also the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor of Georgia. That's because Willis held a fundraiser for his opponent. It means others will have to decide how far to take the case against Jones based on his alleged involvement to help overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in our state. By the way, Governor Brian Kemp was expected to testify by video for the special grand jury and share what he knows happened shortly after the 2020 election. Former President Donald Trump returned to Washington Tuesday for the first time since leaving office.
This November, the people are going to vote to stop the destruction of our country, and they're going to vote to rescue America's future.
Trump spoke to a group of supporters and seems to be preparing for another run at the White House. And yes, he did take a moment to peddle 2020 election lies again. Former Vice President Mike Pence was also in D.C. urging his audience to stop looking backwards. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates again. Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
Although prices for some commodities have turned down recently, the earlier surge in prices of crude oil and other commodities that resulted from Russia's war on Ukraine has boosted prices for gasoline and food, creating additional upward pressure on inflation.
The three-quarter point increase for the second straight time is all about slowing inflation. The increase to 2.5% is what banks will charge each other. But it will impact home mortgages, which have jumped dramatically this year. Powell said there will be a point where the Fed starts to slow the rate hike. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed Wednesday that the U.S. has offered a prisoner swap to Russia for WNBA star Brittany Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan.
We put a substantial proposal on the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal. And I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward a resolution.
Blinken is talking about speaking directly to his Russian counterpart. They have now been sentenced. The last two former Minneapolis police officers who were convicted of violating George Floyd's civil rights in 2020 were in federal court Wednesday. J. Alexander King was sentenced to 3 years and Tu Tao got a 3.5-year sentence. They were convicted in February of 2 counts of violating Floyd's civil rights. The jury found they also failed to stop Derek Chauvin as he knelt on Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes before he died. Chauvin and former cop Thomas Lane have already been sentenced on civil rights violations. President Biden is back at work after testing negative for COVID twice after a 5-day isolation. We're told the president will wear a well-fitting mask for 10 days to prevent the spread of the virus.
This isn't just a disaster, it is an ongoing natural disaster. We are in the midst of it.
That's Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who confirms there are a number of people also unaccounted for after devastating flooding in the eastern part of his state. At least 8 people have died. Beshear says the damage is massive, with hundreds of homes damaged or destroyed. President Biden is closer to a badly needed political win as a congressional deal has been reached that represents the biggest single climate investment in U.S. history.
My message to Congress is this. This is the strongest bill you can pass to lower inflation, cut the deficit, reduce health care costs, tackle the climate crisis, and promote energy security. All the time while reducing the burdens facing working class and middle class families.
This was a big deal Wednesday when Senate Democrats announced an expansive package that also addresses health care and raises taxes on high earners and corporations while reducing the federal debt. The shocker, Senator Joe Manchin is on board. It still has to pass in the full Senate. Will Smith is speaking on camera for the first time since that March Oscar slap seen around the world.
I apologize to you.
That apology to Chris Rock, who Smith hit. He also says,
there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment.
Smith acknowledges that he has reached out to Rock, who is not ready to talk yet. He also apologized to Rock's family, the Oscar nominees, and his fans. Actress Mary Alice has died. She was 85. Alice, who won a Tony for Fences, appeared in several movies, but she may be best remembered as Letty Bostick, the mother figure on the TV show A Different World.
Good evening, everyone. After holding the attention of millions of TV viewers this summer, the recent pause to the January 6 hearings into the attack on the Capitol have turned attention now to the Department of Justice and Attorney General Merrick Garland to provide what could be the next act in this American legal, political, and constitutional drama. With outside pressure mounting for indictments of Mr. Trump and some of his inner circle, I sat down with the Attorney General today for an exclusive interview. The AG dismissing accusations his office hasn't moved swiftly enough to build cases against those near the top of the ladder, and telling me concerns over further tearing the country apart would not deter his office from holding those criminally responsible accountable. You said in no uncertain terms the other day that no one is above the law. That said, the indictment of a former president, of perhaps candidate for president, would arguably tear the country apart. Is that your concern as you make your decision down the road here? Do you have to think about things like that?
Look, we pursue justice without fear or favor. We intend to hold anyone who was criminally responsible for events surrounding January 6th, for any attempt to interfere with the lawful transfer of power from one administration to another, accountable. That's what we do. We don't pay any attention to other issues with respect to that.
So if Donald Trump were to become a candidate for president again, that would not change your schedule or how you move forward or don't move forward?
Say again that we will hold accountable anyone who is criminally responsible for attempting to interfere with the legitimate, lawful transfer of power from one administration to the next.
Y'all heard the man. Did you hear him? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be my ringtone for the next 8 to 12 months. That line right there, that's going to be my ringtone in the studio. It's going to be right above my door. That line right there says it all. Don't you think? Don't y'all? I mean, I'm just here to say.
You know what?
But you know, let me go ahead, Tanya B. Go ahead.
You know, like, miss me with the BS. I don't believe any of them.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Let me
don't.
tell you. Let me tell you. And I'm gonna play a clip, Tanya B. I'm gonna play a clip because you know our good friend on the show is Harold Michael Harvey. And I called Mr. Harvey this week, and Mr. Harvey said, because he, you know, we talked about the fact that he said this, and Mr. Harvey was on episode 134, which I'll post on, you know, on our notes for this week, because this is what Mr. Harvey said, and I want to play this for people just like you, Tanya B, and like me too. I want to play this. This is from Harold Michael Harvey. Harold Michael Harvey is here, y'all, and just gotta definitely again give him his due. Thank you so much for being on. We were just talking about Watergate and talking about the current January 6th commission and the hearings. You and I were having the conversation about who really needs to be watching, and that's Merrick Garland. You know, so my question would be, you know, how important is this for Merrick Garland to do his job?
I think Garland has been doing his job. I mean, investigations or things that happen behind the scene. You do your work. You check out everything that comes to your attention about this possible crime that you're investigating. You take, for instance, over the last year, all of last year and up until about a month ago, we didn't hear anything out of Fani Willis and what was taking place with the investigation in Fulton County. That's because that's a good prosecutor doing their job. So a prosecutor should not be out in the public running their mouth talking about what piece of evidence they've uncovered this time, and then another week they find something else out and they bring that to us again. No, they have to methodically put those cases together. And I think that's what Merrick Garland has been doing. I don't think that the January 6th committee hearings gives him any more information than what he already has.
Okay.
But I think what it will do for him, it will give him cover in terms of there has been a public hearing now, at least it's going on, and at the conclusion of this public hearing, where this investigative body, the Congress, which is this committee, is serving as an investigative body, and so over the past year or so, they have been collecting information, interviewing witnesses, deposing witnesses, and so now they knits this thing together, and they have a narrative of what happened.
Okay, so thank you so much, Harold Michael Harvey. And I'm here to tell you, I gave, you know, again, I told him, you know, hey, kudos to you, man. You called it. But see, my problem, and maybe yours as well, Tanya B. I was doing the podcast, the GP3 podcast, throughout the Mueller report. And the Mueller report was a freaking lead balloon. That shit went up and down. I mean, everybody was so high. Oh, here we go. We got it. And then all of a sudden, so I guess I'm a little traumatized by the Mueller report that did nothing. And when I hear this, it's kind of like everybody's like, we'll see it when we believe it. So I think, but I do give kudos to Harold Michael Harvey for saying, he is coming, because a lot of people thought that they would have to replace Merrick Garland to get somebody to actually take action, and apparently he is taking action. Okay, we're going to get away from that, but one more thing in news, and we want to get to some tea, some fun stuff, some happy stuff. Well, not some of it ain't too happy, but we'll get to it. But the Georgia, this thing in Georgia, and I'm just really, how can you say it's disappointing again for the police. This situation in Georgia where they finally released the body cam for the woman, Brianna Greer, Hancock County in Georgia, where the police, her parents apparently called the police because she was having they call 911. She's having a mental episode. Police show up. They handcuff her, put her in the cruiser. And then you can hear on the body cam, one of the cops says, "Hey, are the doors closed?" So he just walked away. You know how cops are. Yep. So he just walks away. So in a few blocks as they're driving, she is flung out of the car to the side of the road, fractures her skull, multiple other injuries. She goes into a coma. 6 days later, she dies. And Benjamin Crump was in town this last Friday as we tape today on Sunday. And apparently he's involved. He's going to be representing the family. And he spoke in Georgia. And again, I go back to the police reform issue. Nobody's asking about taking money from the police, but there needs to be an option for people, because people have this all the time. I remember growing up having to call somebody because they were having to call the police.
And
because they were
what's
having a mental
interesting?
episode. Yeah.
People, and maybe this is just me. People are still calling the police when they're, when people are having these mental health episodes,
because
and
they have
like,
no place else to go.
Right.
Yeah,
and so what do? Do you let the person go and potentially injure themselves? Hopefully, everybody has different levels of, what they're going through. But 9 times out of 9, if you call the cops, you can pretty much guarantee the person's going to end up dead.
Yeah, because they don't have any training.
Right. So, and now is, and when you talk about defunding the police, it's not taking money away from them. One thing that needs to happen in this whole defunding thing is, they said, I forgot there's one city, I can't think of what it is, but now when they get these 911 mental health crisis calls, a social worker goes with the police, and that should be one of the things that happens across the board. And you think it's just not in big cities, but there are people that are on these Indian reservations. There are people that are just out in the middle of Bumboogle, Wyoming. And you have, the police department, the sheriff's department is 1 or 2 people who've been there since they were 18 years old, again, who have no training. But if that particular town has no mental health professional, how long do you wait before somebody gets there?
This is horrible. This is horrible.
So,
what it reminds me of? Because y'all been in, Shan, you're from Baltimore. You've been in Maryland area, Tanya B. It reminds me of Freddie Gray. You remember Freddie Gray? Because how they let Freddie Gray just kind of roll around, and they threw him around, they do that. They call it the rough ride, on the way, when they arrest you, they handcuff you and throw you in the back of a van, and they're going to rough you up. I mean, that's what it reminds me of a Freddie Gray issue. And this, there's precedent for this. And hopefully, they can move quickly because, the right thing to do, honestly, these cops need to go, they need to be penalized. They need to go to jail. They need to be fired. The city, Hancock County, which is a small county in Georgia, needs to be sued. Again, I told you guys, they have, what do you call it? They have an account They have, an
Yeah,
insurance
they have money that
policy.
it's just like, record labels used to set aside money back in the day when they had street teams and they would
Yep.
get fined.
Mhm.
They have, like you said, they have set aside funding for these lawsuits. They have insurance policies
Yep.
for
They
these
have
lawsuits.
annuities. Yep.
But the thing about it is, Grant, I don't care if Ben Crump goes from New York to New Mexico. You
Mhm.
keep taking these checks and nothing changes.
Yeah,
so
and it's not going to change until the laws change. Period.
Exactly.
It's not going to change till the laws change. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But again, we're going to, keep, we'll stay on top of that because it's horrible. I mean, it really is horrendous. All right, Tanya B. Tanya B., here's the deal. I know we're going to do the tea. So let me go ahead and do this before you start the tea, because I think it's one of your top stories. And I don't know. Yes, I know. But let me play a clip.
Okay, go ahead.
It's one of your top stories. Then I'll go into the tea. But I want to play this clip. Here we go.
Okay, so I just got off stage, but I got off and I saw these retarded comments. So let me just respond. There were some good ones too, but
girl, shut up.
We'll get to those after. So here's the first thing. My hair is cute. Here's the first issue. Okay, number one. It's not even like I'm a human being, so I get pissed off and I get ticked off, right? I'm an artist, so I am, as Erica said, I'm sensitive about my shit. The reality is, okay, is that my real beef is not only with Beyonce, because at the end of the day, she sampled a record, she's copied me before, she's done it before, so have many other artists. It's fine. I don't care about that. The issue is that not only are we female artists, okay, black female artists in an industry that there's not that many of us, right? We've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends. It's not hard, she can contact, right? Ash Nico, who's 20? She's a young white girl. She reached out when she freaking, it's just common decency, right? It's common decency, especially because, as so many of you pointed out, as though I don't know, but let me help you, okay? I know what I own and what I don't own. I also know the lies that were told. I also know the things that were stolen. Publishing was stolen. People were swindled out of rights. It happens all the time, especially back then. So it's not about me being mad about Beyonce. Everyone's like, you're all sheep. And I'm talking to the people who are obsessed and blind, just it's so dumb. It's so ignorant. It's so ignorant. She's one issue because it was stupid and disrespectful and she should have at least reached out. But the real issue is the fact that the people like Pharrell and like Chad really is like an amoeba and just, he's spineless. It's a miracle he can keep his neck up. But Pharrell knows better. This is a direct hit at me. He does this stuff all the time. It's very petty. Very, very, very. And the reality is that it's frustrating. I have the right to be frustrated. Why? Because no one had the human decency to call and be like, yo, hey, would like to use your record. Which, by the way, the reason I'm annoyed is because I know it was on purpose. This is not like they were in the studio. No, this was an on purpose direct hit, which is very passive aggressive. It's very petty. It's very stupid. And I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't mince my words. So all of you Beyonce fans, knock yourselves out. I'm not mad like that. It's not about me being jealous of someone using my song. That's the dumbest, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Grow up. I was not thinking about her or no one else. Not even on No Shade. Just not thinking about living my greatest, best life, as I always do. So it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that from one artist to another, you should have the decency and the common sense and the courtesy to call, reach out, a manager, an agent, anybody just be like, yo, heads up, this is what we're thinking, this is what we're doing. Even if you're going to do it anyway. Just common decency. Like I said, it's happened before where people at least had the wherewithal to be like, yo, using your record, we understand that Pharrell totally swindled you out of your stuff. Just want to give the respect because that's what you do, right? No, that's not what happened. So grow up, okay? I don't mince my words. I say exactly how I feel, when I feel it, how I feel it. I don't care who likes it or doesn't like it. It is what it is. These are facts. This is not opinion, okay? These are facts. Later.
Ooh, let's go ahead and do it.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tanya B.
Well, Tanya B.
Let me just first say this.
Can you help?
First of all, Khalees, you coming off stage and coming outside of your food truck is not the same thing, because that's pretty much the only stage she can really attract flies on right now. First, I'll just say this. She said all the wrong things for the right reasons. Now, number one, her beef is not with Beyonce. Her beef is with Pharrell and Chad. And if you remember a few months ago, maybe 3 to 6 months ago, I did a piece on how she called them out for being greasy and, and not doing her right. But the thing is, you're a grown-ass woman, Khalees, And if you didn't have the proper counsel, and if you trusted somebody that you knew has a reputation of being greasy, why would you do what you did? Where's your split sheet? She's like, oh, that, or you go to Judge Judy. Oral agreements don't hold water in a court of law. She'd have been better off having a text message. So her beef is with Pharrell and Chad, not with Beyonce, because again, why would the brand of Beyonce take a risk at using something like that without getting permission? Why would Sony Music make themselves vulnerable to a lawsuit for a situation like this? And I just say, Khalees, baby, you can't sue somebody for something that never belonged to you in the first place. She does not own her masters. And there was something I read over the weekend on this music redefinition site that I read. It's like she doesn't really have her name on much of anything. So it's like, okay, either you were less than smart or you had very poor counsel. And if your counsel told you that bum deal that you signed 1, 2, or 3 times, then you need to go back and sue them. So, I mean, if you think about it again, this could have made her relevant again, but she went about it in a reactive way, not a proactive way. So she should be out there, saying how Pharrell does greasy business. Everybody knows that. So, okay, why are you getting down with him and taking him and Chad Lugo's word for anything? Number one. Number two, if she'd have been like, she wanted, I guess, to be validated, and maybe she wanted Beyonce to call her, and she could have reached out to her in some way and said, I love the way you're using my voice, in this music, blah, 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 blah. Maybe we can get together, do a collaboration when you go out and tour, because the tour is coming. The Renaissance 1, 2, 3 tour will take you into probably 2025. Yeah. And she could have got out there and, made herself visible, because most of Beyonce's audience does not even know who Khalees is. And if you think about it, I know 3 songs with her. The one where she was screaming, saying, I hate you so much right now, does not require any ability to sing. Then she sang the hook on the ODB song, Baby, I Got Your Money. And, if Old Dirty's family's trying to get his money, she got anything for that. Those albums that she had, she doesn't have credit for. And then again, let's keep in mind, the only reason she even got Milkshake was because Britney Spears rejected it. That song wasn't for her. That was for Britney Spears. And that's who they took it to when she rejected it. So Khalees was like the also ran. So, again, knowing that again, this has been happening for 60, 80, 1,000 years. Little Richard has been screaming it till the day he died. Yep. And when we had William Hart on the show, he said, what are the first 3 letters of a contract? C-O-N. It's a con. So as much as people scream and tell people not to do this and not to do it, and they still do it, I'm not going to apologize. I don't feel sorry for Khalees. I just feel sorry that I know she's grieving. She just lost her husband. She's got the kids. She's got to, have a way to still, maintain herself, and maybe, go. She went to the Cordon Bleu, and she's a real bona fide certified chef. That might be where she needs to be, to stay, because with her lashing out like this and being wrong, okay, people see her as toxic, and they're not going to want to work with her. Number one. Number two, then she came back and she's backpedaling. Well, why Beyonce's supposed to be about, all the things Khalees said she didn't do. Beyonce talks about inequality. That was the second part of it. Yeah, and all that stuff. So it's like, Khalees, honey, you did and said all the wrong thing. It's like all the right things for all the wrong reasons. And again, this could have brought her back and given her a new audience, but now, she's made herself the laughing stock of the industry, the laughing stock of social media. Yeah. And like I said, you really think, and I saw the listing on that album. There must be about 95, 47, 235 people that have writing credits on that album. So Beyonce went to the right entity in getting permission from Pharrell, because that is not Khalees' song. So baby, if you want to sue somebody, again, go to your attorney. If anything else, this could have been a way for her to extend the olive branch to try to get her masters back. And because she doesn't really have, a viable musical career anymore, the chances of her being able to buy all of that back, it's not gonna happen. She got 3, 4, 10 babies, and I'm saying, you know what? She's talking about Nas being crazy. I know creative people are a little to the left, and I'm saying I'm one of them. I get no shame in my game. Me too. Okay, let's call a thing a thing. But I wonder if she wasn't the one that hit Nas in the head when she said he hit her in the head. But anyway, it is what it is. And you see Nas has moved on. And the other thing about Khalees is, honey, everybody's career has no expiration date on it. It could last for 10 minutes, 10 months. It could last for 50 years. She can't Fantasia you, Patti LaBelle you, or Aretha Franklin you down. She does not have that kind of vocal ability. Yeah, so, again, You need how, this business is based on relationships, and I think she just burned a few major bridges, because at the end of the day, if Pharrell wanted to still continue to be greasy, well, he could shut her down from, a distance. And so, it's unfortunate that it's unfortunate that this has happened, but again, she's made, and the more she backpedals, the more she digs herself into a hole, and that's all I got to say. And again,
I'm just gonna say, Tanya B, let me say this, and we'll move on to the next story.
Please.
Is she mad at Bounty too? Because Bounty towel, because they use the heck out of Milkshake.
I know, but again, right.
And I'm just saying, if that's a similar situation, I'm sure Bounty didn't call her and say, "Hey, we're Bounty."
They didn't,
towel,
right? And they,
and
Beyonce did not have to call it.
Anybody have to.
Did not call her.
They call Pharrell. His name
exactly, and she needs to understand that.
Yeah, you hate
that's like
that.
Somebody saying,
yeah, you hate it. You hate it, but it is. I mean, unfortunately,
But you know what? That's what
she.
What she signed for, not signed up for. That's what she signed for.
Yeah, unfortunate to see him, kind of battle in public like this, because we'll see where it goes.
Well, you see,
I'm wondering if Beyonce
hasn't said
offers
boo boo
something
the
to
fool,
her.
and she doesn't
Well,
have to.
shouldn't.
She did the right thing, and she should. And at the end of the day, Pharrell don't have to say anything either. And again, if she had an issue with them, years ago, why did she wait until now? Because she thought she should have gotten some money and some recognition, because nobody owes her permission for nothing. Now, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, what you got next time? What you got?
Let me talk. Okay, last week we talked about Michael Henderson, how he died. He was actually living in Dallas, Georgia, which I'm telling you right now, that is not Atlanta. Let's call it a thing.
Well, I mean, Dallas, Georgia is outside of Douglasville, kind of east.
Yeah, people he was in Atlanta. That was Atlanta adjacent. But let me just say this to you.
Atlanta.
That's the
song, Ain't Atlanta.
Okay. His family has had to start a GoFundMe. I don't know whether it's been his children or his wife. And here's the gag here. Now, he had no life insurance, and because he couldn't work because of COVID and because he was sick, he didn't have the money coming in. He had no life insurance, clearly, and no money saved. But here's the thing. Now, he was living with a girlfriend who was taking care of him probably until his last breath. But he was only separated from his wife. Catch this tea. So Alethea Henderson is still legally his wife, although they were separated. So anything, whether it's an asset or a liability, she's the one that says who happens with what. So apparently Michael Henderson wasn't giving her any money. And I just say, how Tamar Braxton would say, get your life. Now I say, get your life insurance. And the thing, and this is again, teachable moment. Barry White and Glodine White never got divorced. They were split up for 40 something years.
Wow.
So when Barry White died, Glodine was legally the wife and the heir, and she was able to say, this is what's going to happen, this is what's not going to happen. And then there was this woman who was living with Barry White talking about, I'm pregnant with his baby. And Glodine said, well, you can't stay in this house, but I'm pregnant with his baby. Took a DNA test, it wasn't Barry White's baby. So anyway.
That's a lot of money in that Barry White estate.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? No, he had a lot of debt. That's why he worked himself to death, basically working to get out of debt and taking care of grown, able-bodied people who kept coming to him like he was a human ATM. So he worked himself to death, much like Gerald Levert. Let's keep this moving. Okay. Now I want to tell you about Common and Jennifer Hudson. They're in Philly filming a movie called Breathe. I'm not sure when it comes out, but they've conveniently been photographed in these little, on these little cutesy, ooh, baby kind of dates. And I say three things. Number one, is it to begin publicity for the movie? Is it publicity for the talk show, which people are saying it ain't gonna last? But let's find out, because she might fool us, because you never know. Right. Or and I just say Common, he's a love him and leave him guy. He does not commit. He's ever since Erykah Badu turned him out, he really has not been able to keep a successful relationship. I think Serena Williams and Tiffany Haddish was only a year. So I just say, J-Hub, protect your pocketbook and protect your heart, because Common is a love him and leave him kind of guy, and he will keep it pushing. So
on social media, the post is "Run, Girl."
Yeah, run. Like, did you see there's a bit? Remember when Dave Chappelle and Wayne Brady? Yes. He was like, "Run, bitch, run." Yeah. So yeah, J-Hud better run and not do what J-Lo does.
Run, girl, run.
Okay, I'm just saying.
But you know what? Just a minute.
What?
That Wayne Brady.
That's classic.
Dave Chappelle is just. It's classic. It's beyond
that,
classic.
Rick James and Little John are my favorites. Okay, so I'm going to keep it. I also want to let you know that there's a new Whoopi Goldberg film coming. It's about Emmett Till, and he was brutally murdered by a white mob, and now this woman who's now in her 80s is saying that she lied. So I'm like, they need to go string her up and take her behind the court in a cop car. She's admitting that she lied, but the damage is done. And these crimes still, we just talked about the young lady in the police car. These things still happen today. And it's a shame it's been going on as long as it has been. And in this movie, Whoopi's going to play Emmett Till's grandmother. It's coming out in November. I don't have an exact date on what streaming service.
Is it going to be kind of a made-for-TV Hulu thing?
Yeah.
Or
like that Soul of a Nation thing that ABC does. They already did Mamie Till. So we'll see what happens with this perspective. And rumors are flying. You better duck, dodge, and hit the deck, because I'm hearing that Whoopi is not checking for that Alisa Farah Griffin, the new person that they've hired to come on to The View.
But you know what, Tanya B? She needs to say something, because Tara Setmeyer, she's a black conservative female,
right?
And she has always made the rounds. She is not feeling Trump at all. She's a Republican, but she's an anti-Trump Republican.
Right.
And but my point is, it's like she has been the best, because they've been kind of rotating people in to fill Meghan McCain's slot and try to get a feel for who would be the best fit. In my opinion, and I watch The View on occasions. I mean, it was on my DVR. Was because when they announced this, I took it off. I mean, she's no longer on my DVR. It ain't on my DVR anymore. But my point is, Tara Setmeyer was, in my opinion, the best fit, because she got along. She had energy. This lady's a zombie. And you know what? The other thing is, when you leave The View, like, I mean, what I mean is, when the day is over, the show is over, she go right over to Fox and denying the election results. You know what I'm saying? It's she just damn jump in the denial van and head right over to Fox and lie for another check. So why would you want somebody like that on your show? I mean, why The View?
Let me say this.
It's just.
She's not going to last.
Watch The View anymore.
For that reason, she's not going to last, and for another reason, she's not going to last. And here is why. Word from the curb out in them streets is that Whoopi's like, okay, I might give her a chance, but if
she shouldn't even give her a chance.
Wait.
I mean, honestly, you know what they are, Tanya B. It's like, let me say this, and I'm gonna throw it back to you. The Trump people are like no other. I'm not saying. I mean, I understand the Republican concept, conservative concept, because I've been following politics for a long time. I have friends who are black Republicans. I get it. But my point is, it's like this Trump Republican are the people out here who tried to hang Mike Pence. These are the people out here who are talking about, these concepts that are basically setting America back to the 1940s and 50s. That's a totally different mentality from the progressive Republican Party that's more concerned about the finances of America, trying to cut the deficit, the deficit hawks and all that. This is a different concept. This is all about these culture wars, and she's caught up in that. It's problematic to me.
Well, let me say this.
I'm gonna go back.
Now, Whoopi didn't say whether she's gonna give her a season, a month, a week, or a day. And when Whoopi's ready to go in, she's going to go in. And
Whoopi should leave.
Word from the curb is that she has threatened to quit. So I'm thinking there's going to be some changes, and here is why. Because when Whoopi is not on The View, the ratings are in the toilet. So that is her show, and if she leaves, the show's going to be over. And ABC's making too much money off of her being there. So
I mean, if I were Whoopi, for my credibility, hiring again, I don't view the Trump party or Trumpians as a legitimate, even though they have the numbers. I don't view them as good for America at all. I'm not saying, we need a two-party system. We need Republicans, we need a Democrat, because they need to ban, because, just like the Republicans can be fucked up, the Democrats can be just as fucked up. I mean, it kind of goes back and forth. So they checks and balances.
Yeah, but like I said,
the Trump people are seek and destroy. They just trying to destroy.
You know what? Well, let's destroy them by not giving them any more of our air, and let's just call a thing a thing. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, I predict, and I go on record right now saying Whoopi is going to prevail. So, what Alyssa, don't leave your job at Fox, because you're gonna have to go over there. That's gonna be your only paycheck.
It's horrible.
I could go on, but it's almost time for the benediction. Now you get my.
That's what I'm saying.
Shan, he get my pressure up, so I need to go back in here and cook my dinner.
Shan, jump in if you want it.
Okay, you tried it. Go ahead.
All right.
Benediction,
All right,
please. That's all.
All right.
I just shout out to everybody listening. I'm good.
Let me do this. I do want to, because we didn't get into the story, and I can't believe you didn't include this on your list, Tanya B. I kind of know why, But
but wait. Let me just say this.
No, because you said keep it short. This
To
week. Go
be
ahead.
continued. Messy Ants Neo out here raw dogging these prostitutes and thoughts. I'm gonna talk about that later. I'll just say this one thing. I've been in spaces with him. He has not changed. He's always been a hoe. And to his wife, Crystal, I'm sorry it happened to you, girl, but the way you lose a man, the way you get a man is the way you lose him. Now think about that, T. Now what you got to say.
All right, here we go. All right, let me go ahead and play this clip. Here we go.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech?
Boo.
I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man. And this is probably irreparable. I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment.
All right, I'm gonna stop there. There's a little bit more left, but Tanya B. Well, actually, let's go to Shan. I mean, what do you think? Was Will? I mean, I call it the fresh apology. Was it? Is it necessary? I mean, I have my, I guess you could say, opinion behind why he apologized. But what are your thoughts, Shan? We hadn't heard from you.
Well, I think specifically now, yes, I understand about Chris and you apologize, but what about all the other people? All of the other, the producer and this was a time for us to show that we are not all heathens and animals, and we can, put a great production together. I feel as though it sounds a bit coached. It sounds a bit, okay, go away, have your symbolic, whatever you do, calm down, but come back. And when you come back for that first time, take responsibility, but take it with everything in mind. It wasn't
one of the things, and let me mention this, Shan, I didn't play the part where he does talk about the Academy and his fellow nominees. So he did get into that within this. I just didn't play the whole thing for time's sake, but you're right. I mean, I think there was hey, I need to kind of throw this out there for the universe that I'm wrong. But go ahead.
And how long ago was this?
Yeah, this was, I mean, he posted the,
We have moved
right.
on.
How long ago?
He's about 3 months too late.
It's like, damn, okay. I was looking at, because I said, wait a minute, is this just like an old clip that I didn't see that showed up in my feed? And it's like, no, he just did this. And I think what's going on, and I'm just going to say this, because when he did this on Variety, absolutely, you doing the hands gesture right there. When he did this, right after he did it, there was an op-ed in Variety magazine saying that Apple should go ahead and release his Emancipation movie this year. They should move forward on it. And one of the things I sent you when I sent the story to you, Tanya B., I agree that Apple should move forward, because it's not just Will. I mean, this impacts Antoine Fuqua, the entire staff of
The
the
bag. I mean,
movie,
he
which
messed
is
up
like a
those
damn
people's
city.
bag. He
Yes,
messed
it's
up
like
the bag.
you know the cities that are definitely. I mean, you know, when you look at the list of even when, I mean, I was watching an animated movie. I forgot the Nice Guys. This, on it's a new animated movie, and the credits. I'm like, I walked out. Okay, it's over. 3 minutes later, I come back. The credits are still rolling. You know what I mean? And that's just an animated movie. The people that are involved in these projects, it's like a small city. That's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Just like this week, the movie, the DC animated movie. Shan, you got kids. I'm sure somebody asked about the DC, the Rock and Kevin Hart in their new animated movie. They made 25 million this week, but the movie cost 90 million to make. You know what I'm saying? That money impacts a whole lot of people. So they sitting on this money. When they don't show it, they don't give it a chance to recoup the revenue. You know, a lot of people are impacted. So I think the pressure's on Will for these projects that are out there that have either yet to be made or yet to be released. And they're saying, you know, dog. I mean, Fuqua, you know, he's a brother married to Layla Rashawn. He probably said, yo, bro, you hurt my bag. This is the only movie I got going on right now. I've been, you know, I got to get that paper. You know, got to feed. And you know, it's a lot of pressure. Plus, you know, not to mention, I don't think the numbers for Table Talk have been as strong as they were in the past. I don't see people talking about Red Table Talk.
You know, she hit a lick. She got lucky with the Emmy, but you know, I don't know that that'll be a repeat thing. You know, and I get having Red Table Talk and as we call it, kitchen table talk, but there are just some things that you just, you know, and I know it not because I think as a culture, you know, what happens in the house is going to stay in the house. Don't tell anybody. Don't talk about it. But there are some things she just need to keep to herself. You know,
Will is the cash cow, and basically, if he ain't making the money, ain't nobody close to him making the money. And I mean, it's a hell of a lot of pressure. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Again, I said this when this first happened, and I'm going to move on from this to the next story. I like both those guys. I like Chris. I like Will. I've been a fan. I know a lot of people don't like Will, but I've liked Will and his performances as a performer. And you know, just individually and his motivational
I was living in
push.
Philly in the from 90 to 94 in that era.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I was a fan of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You know, and that was before you know the tide changed, and he was known as like a light fluff rapper. But some of the best cuts that Will and Jeff ever had were album cuts. But anyway, you know, so you know, and his thing is, you know, he transitioned into an area where he's kind of, again, messed up the bag for everybody else and himself. So with all the multiple projects that he had, you know, in process, in the bag that are just kind of some are stagnant. Martin Lawrence is still saying they're going to do a Bad Boys 4. And they're going to do the Bad Boys 4 because the first 3 made almost $1 billion. So, you know, it's about money. And, you know, one thing I will say what's interesting is, like, you know, we forgave Michael Jackson. We forgave Mariah Carey. We as people, you know, we tend to forgive and kind of put things to the side, you know, but again, you know, at the end of the day with Will Smith, I think this whole thing, it just boils down to one thing, and that was a mental health crisis as well. So he claims he's in therapy, you know, he went to the ashram and he went to India.
As a matter of fact, can I say this? The video looks like he's in a therapist's office. It looks like.
Well, and they said there are shadows and people, and I said this in the background, between the therapist, the coach and the public relations person. That's why he said it's so coached. It's almost like he memorized, just like he was memorizing lines for you know, a movie script.
For a movie. But
so
you know,
honestly,
the other thing, and
I get it, but I don't believe it.
I'm going to say this, and I'll throw it to you, Shan. You'll have the last word on it. But I do want to say it looked like a hostage video to me. I mean, it's just like, you know, like the hostage video when the ransom is being asked for.
Well, or the deprogramming video.
The deprogramming video.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what it looked like. Go ahead, Shan. You got the last word, and then we'll move on.
I was going to say it looks very programmed. And if I'm genuine and I'm talking about something, it's not going to be set up like that, because I'm going to want to have everything filtered out. I'm going to want to focus. But I also want to see an apology for children, for the Black children. That's always my focus is you are an example. You have these movies that are talking to children. So I didn't finish hearing hearing it, and I heard most of it. But is there an apology to children until you
Well, I think
do that?
yeah.
Until you
I
do
can't,
that,
I can't speak for him, Shan, but I can say one of the things he did say is at the end of the day, because he hates disappointing people. He's going to try to make everybody proud of, which he's not going to be able to do. There's no way you can do that. Good luck with that. Okay. All right, let's move on, y'all. Just real quick, we got to do the Shy update, and I got to say again, KW, appreciate you again, man. My collaborator on the Shy, KW. Hey, what's up? I appreciate you. Emmett and Keisha, y'all got to tell Tiff. Come on now. Come on. And they did tell Tiff. They told Tiff. I've been asking. They finally told Tiff about their little, well, it ain't little. It's kind of big now. And it did not go well. So if you watch the show, I'm not going to go into details. It did not go well. Do you think Tiff should have reacted the way she did? Love your thoughts. Again, you can go to castropolis.net, hit the people poll. Would love to know what you think. Gemma is becoming a rap mogul. The girl on the show who used to be Papa's girlfriend is really a good rapper. And just really, it's going to be interesting to see how she handles that with her new baby on the way with Jake. Trig is just digging that hole deeper and deeper. This is just going to be a mighty, mighty fall. I don't know. I mean, I could just see it coming. Mama Peaches is gone now. And Mama Peaches, but Candy Burris is the devil on this show. You talk about, is she this? I don't watch Real Housewives. I don't watch, but she is the evil on
I
this
think
show.
she's coming into her own as an actress, and sometimes they always say when you act like that, it's not too far of a stretch. So I heard, she can go back to the SWAT, but again, she's got to diversify because.
Yeah. I mean, she's doing an excellent job in her role, but the role, it's one of these roles like I'm running things and you go do as I say. I mean, she's just kind of taking the reins and it's just like she's pure evil, So I will say in fashion, in Shy fashion, that will not end well for her. I don't, it is, I mean, that's in pure Shy fashion that I don't see it. So again, you give us your comments, castropolis.net. And real quick, I promised I was going to do a Renaissance. If y'all listen to the Renaissance album, the Beyonce album yet, the full thing, I know you have, Tanya.
I played it in snippets, and I get it. And it's like if you're not a Beyonce fan, this is not the time for you to be listening to any music anywhere because she, as she does, it's very calculated and it's very plain, and she's permeating the market. And people are saying she's bringing back dance music, and this is what I have to say about that. Depending on where you are, people in Chicago and Detroit are like, nah, it never stopped here. So I think maybe what's happening is being integrated back into perhaps mainstream radio. But dance music never went away. You know how many dance music conferences there are? If you go down to Miami, please.
Yeah. But let me tell you though, Tanya.
I'm not mad at her.
The problem, and I mentioned this when we first started talking about the release of the single. The problem for me is trap on the black side has just gone on. I mean, I think, I'm not saying trap needs to go away, but the whole trap, I mean, just I'm not in the clubs, especially now with COVID, crawling on the walls. I'm not in the clubs, but I do know that that's all people. I mean, and it's, trap is just, in my opinion, as a club DJ, as a DJ, it's boring because it's all one tempo, it's all low tempo. It's really meant for you to get drunk, high, pop bottles.
Right, because you can't dance to it. We used to go to the club and shine, even in the 90s when New Jack Swing was hot, when you went to the club, you danced. You didn't stand around and go into a nod, and drink and lean and all that whatnot. We came from a time, I believe we all do, where you put on music and you felt something, you danced. When I put on, I don't put it on, but if I have occasion where I'm forced to listen to some of this trap, crap, rap music, I find it depressing. It does not motivate me at all.
It's just kind of this. It's just kind of this all night. But I got to say that also is, I will give Beyonce credit as, and I'm gonna say this, and it may be blasphemy because I'm a fan. As you can see on my wall, if you're watching the show, you can see who's up there. She's like the new Prince. She's like the current day Prince. That's just, I mean, I can see because she's unconventional. She does shift the narrative whenever she releases a project. She is the new Prince. And people need to realize, I mean, even those who don't know Prince, this is the kind of atmosphere that Prince created when he was in his heyday, when he released music. He changed the direction, and hopefully she can continue to do that. And I do have to, we talked about all the different samples on the album, but one sample, I'm not going to play it because every time I play something, YouTube come after me. And I will say there was a cut that samples on her album. I think it's on America's Got a Problem, which is one of the cuts on the album. Right at the beginning, there's a chord like dun 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 dun. That song is from a hit that was made, when I was doing my thing in Atlanta with a group called Kilo. If you remember Kilo Ali, if you remember, King J, Jarvis, all those guys, it's just good. I hope that Kilo's getting some money off that, because that is purely that's his song. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, when I heard it, Tanya B and Shan, I said, damn, because if y'all, for my Atlanta folks who old school, back in the day, I was at V, we were doing the music, and we had a show called Atlanta Jams. It was one of these teen TV shows.
Yeah.
We filmed it in the club. We promoted it on the radio station. It was at Club VIP. And and Kilo, that song was always our number one song. It was huge.
That's an Atlanta
called,
classic.
Yeah, it was called Cocaine. It is on, and it was an anti-drug song.
Yeah.
But it's on YouTube. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on all the major streams. And that dun 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 dun. Shout out, man! I heard that.
Yeah.
I said, wow.
And
Go
again,
ahead. I give the album a B. Go ahead.
She's not going to forego that. And I give her 5 on it because she sampled, James Brown, his estate's going to get money. She sampled the Clark sisters, they're going to get money. And she does have a relationship with them. She sampled Nile Rodgers, who don't need the money. But again, I think she's one, and again, I learned this from my time at Music World. And I think I shared with you, Tommy B. One thing that she and her sisters and really all the music world artists will, do, you have to do your homework. So one thing I give it to her, because she could have went and gotten any rapper from Houston, but having to step outside your sandbox. She did the Robin S. She did the Kilo Ali. She the James Brown, the Nile Rodgers, the even with Pharrell was one of the producers on her album, along with The Dream and Raphael Sadiq. So I think when you have those kinds of creative minds in the room, and they all are very eclectic in their musical taste. And I think, you can see her range as well, too. I give her 5 on it for reaching back and making sure, these legends, they're going to get a nice check.
Yep. And I give again, this is only part 1 of 3 parts.
Exactly.
And I give this part a B.
I agree with you.
I mean, I give it it could go either way, but I just give it a B for the impact and what it can do. It's still a good album. Okay, just real quick, again, everything's trash, y'all, with Phoebe from Two Dope Queens. Every week it gets better. I mean, honestly, it's just getting better every week. I hope that if you watch Grand Crew on NBC, it kind of reminds you of Grand Crew. The other thing is,
it's better than Grand Crew. It's better than Grand Crew. I think it's better than Grand Crew.
I'm still a fan of Grand Crew, but I think
it. But no,
this
everything's
show is well done. It's a funny show. Nope slips down to number 2. Again, you got kids. Chan was talking about the DC League of Super Pets. That's going to be number 1 this week. Didn't do well though. I mean, it got 23 million, but it cost 90 million to make.
But you know what? People are going to wait because number 1, they use the money to send their kids back to school, and unless you're lucky if you are like 70 years old and you go to the movies. If you got 4 or 5 kids and it's $10-15 a head, you wait until it comes, and you just wait. Just think about it.
Also, y'all leave Jimmy Butler alone. Jimmy Butler from Miami, just because the brother got dreads, brother got locks, and social media is clowning them. You know what? I mean, I told y'all before, everybody's hair journey is their hair journey. Let them do his thing.
Look, if it helps him play better, I have no beef
what I'm saying? If it brings him a championship, so be it.
Exactly.
Power of the locks. Power of the locks.
And I don't
y'all
mean the
see
rap,
me,
the
if you're watching the show, I got my Sway hat on. I'm good.
I got my Afro puff.
You got your Afro puff.
Got my Afro puff.
Shan got her fro. We all good.
She's got Afro.
We all natural. We all natural.
Natural. Yes.
Natural. Hey y'all, your thoughts? Definitely go to Castropolis.net. Hit us up on the People Poll. Castropolis.net. We got everything there. The podcast, the stream, social media, email. Last shout out, y'all. I got to say happy birthday to my boy Keith Solis. I saw his birthday, and Keith and I go way back, man. Back to we launched V100 in Dallas in my apartment. It was probably, and still to this day, Tanya B, it is probably, in my opinion, well, not opinion, but in the numbers, the highest debuting black station ever since the 90s at least.
Okay.
We did that in, so shout out to him, man. I saw him, to Trish, the kids. And by the way, he does the best Dionne Warwick impression ever. Marlboro puffing and all. So you in Dallas, if you in Dallas, ask him to do that. The other thing, I mean, without a doubt, happy 30th anniversary, man. It is my 30th. Lady J, y'all, shout out big time. I can't believe it. We did it the year of Juice.
30 years. 30,
yes, even going back to Juice, 1992.
Dude, Jesus.
So
you better do something really nice for her.
Also, before we leave, I wanted to do this. Y'all got any more shout outs?
I'm done.
You got any shout outs, Shan? You got any shout outs?
I'm just enjoying being here.
but before
we have fun.
But before we go and we do the benediction, I do want to play this quick clip, and it's real important, y'all. I know we've been talking about COVID a lot, but I do want to play this clip on monkeypox, because it definitely is becoming a massive issue, with New York calling it an emergency situation, and many cities probably to follow. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this. Yeah, Atlanta too. Here we go.
So how does monkeypox spread? It spreads through close contact with an infected person's rashes or lesions, and we're hearing a lot about transmission during sex because there's a lot of skin-to-skin contact that happens during sex, even though monkeypox isn't an STD. Monkeypox can also spread through other forms of skin-to-skin contact, such as if you're dancing shirtless in a tight space, or if you're hugging or cuddling someone who has rashes or lesions. Monkeypox is also known to spread by sharing contaminated items such as bedding or clothing, although experts think this is a less common form of spread. Respiratory spread is also possible, but it's not like coronavirus, and it's under more limited circumstances, usually when you're living in the same house as someone who has monkeypox.
All right, y'all, so that's some information, and we'll definitely keep you guys posted as we get more information, but definitely stay vigilant and stay focused. There's a lot going on, and we definitely need to make sure that we're aware, especially as we're having these events and these parties. A lot of this back to school stuff's happening.
Yes.
The colleges are going back. Definitely we need to be vigilant and aware of what's going on with public health. So, Biden had so nice he did it twice on COVID right now. So we need to really be careful.
BA5
wear your mask.
laughs. It's resistant. So anyway.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So with that, y'all, let's go ahead and do it. Yeah, he left it for us. He's still here. Here we go.
So I didn't come here to preach to you today.
Here's your inspirational moment with Vi.
Did you know that it's not God's will for you or anyone to die young? His will for you is to live the full number of your days. You ought to live 70 or 80 years. And if you're not satisfied, live a while longer. That's the way it ought to be with all of us. Some believers don't realize that they've gotten themselves in a mess when they get sick. Instead of just believing for health, they start wondering if it's God's will for them to die. Maybe he's ready to call me home, they think. Don't ever entertain thoughts like that. If God has his way, he won't call you home until you're good and ready to come, regardless of your age. If the devil is telling you God isn't going to heal you because it's time for you to go home, he is lying to you. If you're not satisfied that you have finished your course, yet on this earth, it's not time for you to die. So ignore the devil and keep right on living. Resist sickness and disease in the name of Jesus. God promises in Psalms 91:16 that if you're living under the shadow of the Most High, he will satisfy you with long life. All I'm saying, people, when it's your time, God will call you, and he won't call you before your time. That don't mean you get to go out here and live any kind of way you want to live. If you know the COVID is out here, and you go into the club where it's overcrowded, that's not God's will. If you know You going to, it's late at night, 2 o'clock, it's a bad neighborhood, and you still want to go because that's where your friends are hanging out? That ain't God's will. So if you live the way he asked you to live, do what you know was right in your heart, then you won't go before your time. God got you. Trust in him. He will not take you before your time. In other words, people, trust in God. He always will steer you in the right direction. Amen. Amen.
Hey man, country commentator went in on y'all this week.
Amen.
He went in. I mean, I love you, Vi. Love you. He'll be back. Hopefully, he'll be back next week. He's with his mom this weekend. So kudos. Also, I just got to say again, Nichelle Nichols, 89, lost her. Bill Russell, 88. Michael Henderson, we lost with 71. And our good friends, our close friends. I was 77. Okay, 77. Yeah, Dino was 73. J.R. Dino, Mitch Faulkner, 64. And of course, I don't think we said enough about Mary Alice, but it was mentioned with Syracuse Mike in the news. All these transitions, man, these people live amazing lives. Let's celebrate them. They're now our ancestors. So definitely give them props and celebrate their lives. And definitely, I think there's a lot to learn from each of them, y'all. So with that, y'all, we really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for the support. Episode 139 is in the can. And we are out of here. Power to the people and peace.
Finally, COVID is real, y'all. So is monkeypox.
All right, y'all. All right now. Peace. Stay on, y'all. Don't hang up.
I won't.